Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Viewers, so German Chancellor is in China. He is on a very important visit. He is in China to explore how China and Germany can strengthen their relationship in future and how they can sustain their relationship which they have very long history because since the establishment of the relationship between Germany and China, so Germany has been a key player in the economic development model of China. So where Chinese company played very important role in their technological upgrade and the development and going on the path of the development. But with the passage of the time, now China has emerged the second largest economy of the world, and it is the biggest trade partner of the world, and it is becoming the hub for innovation, disruptive technologies, technology development. And Germany, everybody know that Germany have their say or their standards in the engineering goods, in innovation and technology development. So in this context, this visit is very important. And the German Chancellor, he has met already Chinese President and the Prime Minister, and he has already visited some companies like in the robot company like Mercedes, AI drivens, and other stuff. So in this kind of, we have invited Mr. Volker Frederick. He is very well known expert on the German investment in especially in the Asian countries. He has a long experience in that, over 30 years. He is advising different European companies how where they can invest, and what would be the most appropriate way to invest. He has also experience to work with the Small and Medium Enterprises Association of Germany. So I thought he is the right person to talk about it. Welcome to the show, Volker.
Thank you very much, Shakir, for inviting me to your show. And
Yeah.
I'm happy to share my ideas and experiences with you and your audience.
So let's start with the historical perspective. So can you little bit give us the view? So how long the China and the Germany are working together on the economic side?
Right. Okay. So thank you for the kind invitation and the introduction. As you say, we are working now for nearly 30 years with German European companies on their way to Asia, and particularly also in China. And today we are talking about China and not the other Asian countries, which of course are also playing a role in the strategic partnership between Germany and China. And I myself, I traveled to China first time around about 30 years ago
Oh,
when China was more or less
so
still
you can
sleeping, you know?
so you can tell us from where, so where was the China 30 years ago and where China stands now?
Exactly. And this is like traveling through a time machine, I would like to say.
Hmm.
You know, when I remember the first visits, even to the big cities, everybody is visiting today, Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou. These were like sleeping villages. And over a period of only 2, 3 decades,
Hmm.
China has been transforming completely into a new industrial powerhouse. And
Yes.
Germany and the German companies which were engaged in this development, they have formed part of the backbone of this development in China. And China has
Hmm.
benefited greatly from the German investments into China. Of course, the German investors also benefited from that activities. They have set up factories, they have formed joint ventures, they started local production in China. And in the first phase of that development, China was seen as a remote workshop, so to say, you know, because
Hmm.
the production cost, the labor cost were very cheap
Hmm.
compared to Germany and Europe at that time. So many companies set up a factory there. They produced parts or all of their goods and they re-exported them back to Europe because they
Hmm.
could save on the costing. Uh, and then over time, China developed, and of course, the market grew in China itself. So there was a possibility and the need to produce in China also for China, for the Chinese
Hmm.
home market, especially in the industrial goods, even the consumer goods, the automotive and car industry is always a very good example where in the first phase we produced for exporting. then for 1 or 2 decades, you had all the Volkswagen license production in China, and visibly on the road, it was all Santana, Santana, Volkswagen. And
Yeah.
that, of course, is a thing of the past we have to acknowledge. And so that was the first phase when German and Chinese companies were cooperating, factories were set up. And of course, China grew stronger and stronger. The GDP grew, the GDP per capita grew, purchasing power in China grew. So China became more and more interesting also as a target market to sell and market the products from the German companies. So that is
And
the
I think
first.
whenever we interact with the Chinese experts or the economists or the industrialists, so they value the German contribution very much and they admire
Yeah.
the German company. Yes, please continue.
No, I agree to that. And Germany, not only in China, but fortunately, we have worked on a reputation of being quality driven, high-end engineering, machineries which are not breaking down, long lifetime guarantees. So that is the reputation Germany still enjoys in China and other parts of the world very much. So I
Yeah.
also believe from my personal interaction that the appreciation of what Germany contributed to the industrial development of China is on a very high level. And we are seen
Yes.
with high respect and high regard from the industrial partners, but
I
also
think
from the
still the BMW, I think BMW is partnering with the FA, the Chinese
yeah,
national the car makers, and they're
FAW.
venturing
Yeah.
in the luxury cars, also in the electric cars.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but since you mentioned the automotive industry, this is a very good example where, let's say, things are changing dramatically fast. And if you look on the roads now in Europe, you see more and more Chinese cars competing with their old rivals or with their old role models, I'd like to say.
Yes.
Previously, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, they got kind of admired and it were a status symbol to
Mhm.
drive such a car in China. And today, if you look at the numbers, they have a very hard time to meet the expectations because the Chinese car manufacturers, they have learned their lessons and they are now building cars which are good or equally good as the German competitors for, let's say, 30, 40% lesser cost and lesser price for the end user.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that is a
And that is
challenge.
very important indicator. 30 to
Oh,
40% lower prices.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course, it's not only that they are competing in China, but they are also competing more and more in our home market here in Europe, or even
Mhm.
in the US, or even in search markets like Brazil, Africa, Middle East, Japan, Korea, you name it. So the German industry is really challenged by the new industrial players
We will
in
talk in
China.
the present context, but focusing on in this session, just focusing on the previous. I think that Germany was the first country who established Sino-German park, economic park, and which
Yeah,
have
we have.
technology, which have.
Yeah. Yeah, when it got noticed that China is a very important partner, all the people or the stakeholders, they saw the necessity to build an industrial framework, industrial platforms
Mhm.
where the investment can grow naturally and successfully and sustainable over time. So
Mhm.
it was very popular, like you say, to have clusters
Mhm.
of industrial parks where you have specific industries like chemical parks, automotive parks, pharmaceutical, biology parks, medical parks, software IT, where all these companies formed a cluster of industries and they shared some of the knowledge. The workers came to that place. They developed partnerships with universities or large think tanks, R&D institutions from China. So it was a very successful and nice cooperation and partnership to develop that specific industry. Taichung, for example, had a German industrial park. Nowadays, we have a number of parks which are focusing on everything green, green energy, sustainability. These are modern trends. And but don't forget the inverted commas old industry, brick and mortar. You know, you got to
Hmm.
build it. You got to have workers. You got to have physical structures. Not everything
Hmm.
you can do on your mobile phone.
Yes.
So the old conservative industries,
That
working
is the real
electricians.
economy. So real economy, basically the real economy.
Don't
So
tell that to the software people, you know.
but in the real economy, software people are also playing a good role now through the
Of
AI and
course,
other
yeah.
stuff. They are become a
It's
very
all
important
integrated and
source.
interconnected of
Right. So
today,
now
yeah.
moving to the future, the present to the future. So I
Yeah,
have seen the data last year, I think. So German trade deficit has increased with China.
yeah.
So what are the basic reasons or the major reason behind this?
Well, there are a number of reasons. Number one is what I just explained, that the Chinese companies, they have developed over time. They built nicer, better, smarter, cheaper products, which are having increased demand in Europe. So
Hmm.
naturally, if the demand is increasing, the companies will supply.
Hmm.
That is number one. Number two is China has a very sweet position in the currency exchange market, and
Okay.
the currency of China, the renminbi, has dropped something, depends how you look at it, over time, 20,
Hmm.
30% in value, making
Hmm.
it extra cheaper apart from the
Okay.
normal cost structure. The
Hmm.
Chinese exporter gained a benefit because the renminbi is relatively weak to the euro. So
Yes.
there is a price advantage without windfall profit, so to say. Yeah. That also contributed to the large trade deficit, which is in the region of 90 billion euros last year, 2025. And of
Okay.
course, this is, yeah, and also at the same time, the German exports to China dropped also. Yeah. So it was a double whammy or triple whammy, you may say. Yeah. Export increased, import reduced, currency exchange rate helped the Chinese exporters to do more. And
Hmm.
of course, this is
So
seen as a little bit unhealthy, unbalanced. So that is also part of the discussion we are seeing the last 2, 3 days when the delegation of the Chancellor is in China.
and I was just also looking, and so the Mitzland a report. So in the Deutsche Welle, this was a story. So some German companies they are also facing the tough competition from the Chinese company, and they are
Right.
citing so major reason. One is the cost, but other reason they are worried about the Chinese companies are meeting the no engineering standards.
Hmm. Well, it depends. I mean, when you listen to business people and you follow the discussion, let's say, of not over 1 or 2 years, in the first phase, everybody was saying, oh, the Chinese products, they are just falling apart. They are more or less a little better than scrap value. And nobody took China seriously at that time. Yeah?
Hmm.
So even the customers say, well, I rather spend more. It doesn't help me in my production if the machines are breaking. But that has changed, and the Chinese products, and we see that in many, many different industries, they are getting closer to the industry standards by maintaining the quality. And of course, it's always attractive for the investor if you don't have to fork out so much money and say, I can buy the production line probably 20, 30% cheaper,
Hmm.
and the quality level is probably only 10% less. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's a cost benefit analysis every procurement officer is going to do. And
Hmm.
China is gaining traction, no doubt about that. Yeah.
So then, because I was just, it was very, very interesting for me when I was reading this report from the Deutsche Welle. They were telling the German companies they are more fear about China has improved their quality. That was a report by the KfW.
Right.
So they are feeling like that. So I think that is a big turnaround, and you are describing as so. Just when we have discussed these things, the little bit history of relationship, and then so the little bit about the China current status. So no, so if you look the German market, so German
Mhm.
definitely the biggest market of the European Union, and there
Right.
are many linkages, not only in the term of the production, but also it's a connectivity. So Germany is
Mhm.
connected to so many countries in the Europe, from where if
Yeah.
you are based in Germany, so you can benefit from many other markets. And German market is economy is facing challenge right now, and China's economy is growing. So, will you, at the both countries, repeat the history at the time when the China was not doing good? Germany companies come forward, invested, and help them. Now you can expect that the Chinese company will come and invest in the Germany.
Well, I think I'm a pro business person in terms of let's deal with each other, and it's not
Mhm.
never either or. It's not black or white. And
Mhm.
Germany, as an open trading nation, ever since 1945, we have developed as many partnerships with countries as there are countries in the world. And Germany is trading with around about 200 countries. And of course, China is one of the most important ones. At the same time, Germany is anchored into the system of the European Union. And many
I think the
decisions,
Germany is among the top five exporters of the world, with I think
yeah,
1.8 trillion
number
dollar,
three or number four, depends how you do the
1.8
numbers.
trillion dollar.
Yeah, exactly. But you also have to know that a lot of trade is happening within Europe.
Mhm.
And then you have US, Japan, China, of course. So these are the trading partners of Germany. And my advice really is you need to be uh, fair and friendly with all your trading partners. It's
Yes.
not a good idea to slash or slap a trading partner just because at 1 year the trade deficit is too high. And
Mhm.
of course, everybody is talking about the tariffs of the United States these days as one tool of rebalancing the trade balance. I'm not a
Mhm.
friend of tariffs. I think they should be abandoned all over the world,
Mhm.
and let everybody play a fair game and
Tariff and
do
non-tariff barriers.
exactly.
Non-tariff
Yeah.
are equally important.
As long as we trade, and ever since probably the economist David Ricardo, he was developing this theory of comparative advantages of trading
Yes.
nations. And I think that is still valid in a way. And let the countries and the companies do and manufacture and provide the products or the services where they feel good at and comfortable, and let them fairly compete. And that
You
is the
talk about.
problem because, sorry to just let me just finish the sentence.
Sure.
The fair competition is also a very big headline
Mhm.
because here in Europe, we see that in many cases, we don't see a fair competition
Mhm.
because of subsidies, because of political mileage, because of, let's say, strategic political projects like the Belt and Road project in other markets. There
Mhm.
are certain benefits Chinese exporters have, which we will never be able to get. So
Mhm.
that is close to impossible to compete with Chinese companies if they have the full-fledged support of the government, of the currency, of the party leaders, everything. And of course, you cannot change that overnight. It's a long and tedious process to rebalance everything to get it back into a balanced system where everybody is reasonably happy. You
I
cannot
think
make happy, you cannot make everybody happy all the time.
no, but the cooperation must be the win-win cooperation. There should not be like that one lose and other get everything.
Yeah,
So that is
yeah,
not a sustainable method. So
exactly.
the things you have highlighted very beautifully. But the trade in the present context, when we see at the trade wars started by President Trump, that you get tariff war single-handedly, he is maybe the reversing the. Are you talking about the comparative analysis based trade? He reversing the process. So maybe
Yeah,
the liberal global order for which the West has been celebrating for many years, maybe have the greatly impacted. In this context, how you see China and the Germany can work together. If China is the biggest exporter of the world, the Germany is the third largest exporter of the world. And
yeah,
Germany also have as you mentioned in your earlier comments, you have very good and economic linkages with many countries across the world.
yeah.
During that meeting, the Chancellor Merz and the President Xi, Prime Minister, they also agreed to cooperate to make the global order more sustainable. How do you see can work together?
Well, I see that Germany and China, they have a little bit of a, let's say, tense relationship, more or less
Mhm.
since COVID started. There are
Mhm.
many areas where the German government or the German public was having the perception of China not to be our best friend anymore. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
a number of reasons. It started with COVID discussion. Now many people see very critical that China is keeping quiet on Russia and Ukraine. We don't know what is going on behind the curtains. We see trade imbalances. So I think the visit of the Merz delegation comes very timely in recalibrating all this. Yeah? And if
Mm-hmm.
they speak together, it's the start of a marathon, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
something where you are finished in 10 seconds like in a 100-meter sprint.
Yes.
And therefore, I feel it is very important that the dialogue has restarted. It was also a little bit strained by the previous government and some remarks which were made by politicians about China, which were not perceived nicely or happily in
Mm-hmm.
China. So they were a little bit setback. And
Mm-hmm.
from what I read now for the last 2, 3 days, but also in the preparation of the visit, the German delegation is being received with open arms, very friendly, very nice, highest possible protocol level.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that China values and appreciates that Germany is making a step forward and
Mm-hmm.
say, hey guys, there's no point fighting and rubbing shoulders. Let's work together and help each other. Of course, German Chancellor Merz is known that he is talking straightforward. He is also not ruling out to have disagreements in certain areas. But what I think
Mm-hmm.
is very good nowadays is that they are focusing on those areas where the governments agree. For example, climate change, doing more for the environment, fighting poverty and hunger all over the world. So there are many areas where we could really work together strongly and where we can use each other's resources together.
And how this can help the global trade order? If China and
Sorry?
Germany, if the China and the Germany they join
Yeah.
hand, so how it'll help the global trade order, which is facing the challenge at this point of the time.
Yeah.
So many countries are facing the pressure.
Hmm. Well, you see, as you say correctly, China and Germany together, they are number two and number three economies of the world. And if they are leading by example, I would like to say, where they say we are not
Mhm.
fighting each other, we are helping, we are cooperating, I think
Mhm.
that is leading by example. And they are not out to have a conflict, over small things here or there, but they see
Yes.
the red storyline. They see the big highway, and of
Mhm.
course there are always deviations here and there. Sometimes you have to go uphill a little bit before you can go fast in a nice and free and easy way forward.
Mhm.
So I think it's a kind of a role model where the big elephants, like Germany and China, show the second and third tier countries don't fight with anybody, be friend, and look where you can benefit from each other's know-how, experience, etc.
And can the President Trump also learn something from this on the lighter side?
Sorry, say that the who can learn?
Donald Trump.
Well, he is definitely one of its kind, and so we see comments everywhere, every day. Millions of people are commenting on his style, on his rhetoric, on his administration. And I think he has made an agenda, the Make America Great agenda for himself, and he put all his people in the strategic positions. Honestly speaking, I think they don't really listen. Yeah, they are very America minded. I'm not saying
Mhm.
narrow minded, I'm saying America minded, like Make America Great Again. And I don't think it's healthy, to be honest, and I think time will tell. We can't predict. We don't have a crystal ball where we can look into the future. But what I see is that old partners and friends of the US, they are raising eyebrows, like Germany, where they say, hey, what is this all about?
Yes.
We have been friends for 50, 60, 70 years, and suddenly you tell us we are no good anymore. Um, how would you react if one of your best friends is doing that to you? You were looking for other friends. And the world is very big, so we are kind of reorientating our own agenda and our own strategy a little bit. Yeah, we are not letting the US fall like a hot potato. Therefore, it's just too big and too important. We want to continue to be friends with the US, but we are skeptical if we're being pushed around in a corner like a small boy on the football field.
Yeah. So, but I think you are right. So when look at the China, even China, after all these sanctions, China's trade export has been increased. The trade has been increased. So same as Germany is also diversifying or looking new market.
Yeah, I mean, the export of China to the US went down because of the
Yes.
tariffs, that natural reaction, but they compensated very nicely with exports to other countries, which increased.
And if I say in the context of the Germany, when I look at the American history, the German played a very good role in their technology development. The German diaspora, especially, they built their technological base. Today
Yeah,
they are very proud of that technological base, but they forget from where it
yeah.
comes. So the German companies and German
Well,
diaspora brought these.
we have a large German community, where Germans are living in the US, second, third generation. Even Donald Trump himself has some family roots in Germany itself.
Yeah,
So there's a very strong linkage between Europe and the US, not only Germany, but all over Europe. We have many
yeah.
second, third generation family businesses which went to the US and started their life there.
Yes, and the Chinese and German companies have played a very good role, not in Asia but across the world in the technology development.
Yeah,
Now, moving forward,
yeah,
so when we
yeah.
look at the Chancellor Merz this delegation, who are the important people who are traveling with the Chancellor Merz from the business
Yeah, I
perspective?
have a copy of the list of the delegation members, and there you see the who is who of the German industry. I think there are around about 30 companies. You have all the companies which have big investments in China, like BASF, the chemical giant, Henkel, the automotive companies, Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes, Siemens. But
Mhm.
we also have a few small and medium-sized companies, which I think is very important, and that is very often not in the headlines, that the backbone of each and every country and industry and economy are the medium-sized companies.
Yeah, yes,
Companies with,
definitely.
let's say, 100, 200 people, maybe 500. They are the driving force in the villages, on the countryside. They are not in
Job
the
creation,
headlines,
job
not in the
creation.
media, not in the media every day. They don't do fancy products, They do things which are used on a daily basis. And these are the companies which also should look at China and internationally in general, because the world is a global market these days, and you cannot survive even if you are a small bakery or taxi driver, or if you think you have some local business only. If you look deep, it's also international. Because maybe the taxi driver is going to use a Chinese electrical vehicle very soon. Yeah, uh, things like that. Yeah,
Yeah, yes. So when we in because we're moving towards the conclusion of this small discussion.
yeah,
So you're following this visit, and you know which company have traveled with the Chancellor Merz and where he is visiting, the to how many people he is meeting. He is meeting the top leader on all the spheres. So
yeah.
what you expect from this visit? So what would be the outcome? Your expectation?
Well,
One can be the
typically
wish
in
list.
my
One can be the wish list also you can share with us. But also, what is the real expectations?
well, honestly speaking, my expectation always is very low when it comes to these high level political meetings, because I have seen that come and go for 30 years. It was more or less the same, big hoo-ha. Everybody was nervous. Oh, they are coming and we have to prepare. And then
Yes.
you see a lot of nice pictures in the media. You have show visits to certain factories, but the real output is prepared way in advance. Like in the
Yeah.
Merz case, we have just seen the announcement that some aircrafts from Airbus are going to be signed, 120
120.
units.
Yeah.
Do you you will never believe that this is the outcome of this 2-day visit, All these guys from Airbus and on the China side, they have been working years in preparation of this deal. Yeah. So it's
Yes.
just let's say the ice on the cake, to have a picture with President Xi and Chancellor Merz signing the MOU.
Yes.
Um, but I think the outcome, which is positive, is a better awareness. What is happening between Germany and China. Like our interview if it is seen by the people of your audience, they say, hey, there is something happening between Germany and China.
Yes.
And they are talking, they are shaking hands, they're having a nice dinner together. There is no rivalry, and we are not competing in a very aggressive way. We are talking, we look for cooperation, we look for exchange programs of students and engineers where we help each other and learn from each other. This is a type of global trade and investment I'm a big fan and supporter. And
Hmm.
we are not here to tell somebody you do this and this and this and this. We like to listen. And I think that is one of the most important qualifications when you talk to your partners in the other part of the world. Listen first, talk later. And I think that is also my wish that Merz and his delegation have learned that. We are not there to teach the world what they should do, but we are there to listen first, digest the other people's opinion and the history, the culture, and then try to find a compromise which is workable for both parties.
A win-win cooperation. So that's you are hopeful this will open the new doors. So doors which
I
can be
believe so.
utilized, and the
Yeah,
doors which can be utilized to build the wider highways of cooperation. I think
that's right.
that would be very important
Yeah,
expectation. I think the both leadership from both countries, at least they have shown this courage to continue. And
yeah.
I look forward so how the German and the Chinese company they are working together again, and especially your contribution to the global trade sustainability because you are the two big economies and the big trader partners of the world. And you both at this point of times are very important countries in terms of the technology development and innovation. So they can help everybody across the world for the fourth industrial revolution. You
Thank
want to
you.
say
Yeah.
something?
No, I just want to add, that apart from the high level political visibility we see, the real work, the real progress is only possible if the companies and the people work together.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we don't, honestly, whoever is chancellor or president, he is not running my business. He
Yes.
is
Yes.
helping to have a sentiment, to build a framework, legal structures. But the day-to-day work is with individual people. And let's shake hand, be friend, work together. That's my motto. That's my agenda. Yeah.
And that is only way out, no matter from which country you belongs. That is only way out.
Exactly.
That shake hand
Exactly.
and work together. And I think it will also open especially some ways for the Pakistan because Pakistan also have a good relationship with Germany and many German companies are working here. And Pakistan has extremely good relationship with China and CPEC is here. So we can also see if the things goes well. So we can also see maybe the CPEC, the German company will also be joining the CPEC. Thank you so much, Volker. And we will continue to talk and we will discuss more. So, how we can work together and how Germany and China can work together and how Pakistan can. In the next episode, I will talk to you how Pakistan can even benefit from this new, you can say, the relationship or the new interactions or the cooperation between China and Germany. Thank you so much.